Welcome to the Doctor's Mentor Show. If you believe that medicine is an industry and not a profession, if you enjoy submitting complex reimbursement claims, or you would do another residency just for fun, be advised, you're about to be offended. You should probably leave now.
All this talk about mentoring doctors is ridiculous. I thought doctors learned to do everything better than everyone else the first year of medical school. At least that's the way they act.
If you love assisting patients with vitality breakthroughs, if the right to practice medicine without interference is important, and you want expert tips for practice freedom and profits to support your epic life, welcome aboard and prepare to be blown away. The Doctor's Mentor Show starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Lori Barr.
On a recent plane flight, I read this statement by actor Nolte. You want the story up front. You, as the actor, are there to support the story. Have you ever wondered what kind of an impact your work is having in the world? Imagine what it would be like to have your ideal practice partner or medical school dean scan the first page of your CV and immediately pick up the phone and call you. In this episode, you'll discover 3 things actors know that doctors need to know about self-representation so you accelerate along the career path of your dreams. Today's episode is the first in a series of shows designed to help you at transition points in your medical and professional career. It's useful no matter if you're in high school or retirement age, and it is a lesson worth your time and consideration, especially if you're considering an additional profit stream. You can even morph these concepts and use the principles to be more effective in your social life. Today's podcast comes under the category of
Legacy.
Legacy? Legacy is what you spend your time and energy creating in the world. Your success or failure along your career path is a major determinant of your effectiveness as a spiritual being playing out your unique role on planet Earth at exactly this point in the time-space continuum.
Today's topic.
What is it that actors know about getting noticed that doctors don't? An actor who succeeds in the industry understands that what lands a role today is not what gets him noticed by the next director. In other words, he or she provides a presentation package customized to the opportunity at hand. Moreover, she enlists the help of a professional, her agent, to identify ideal opportunities and to grease the skids so that she is on the director's radar much earlier than other actors competing for the part. Then, when the actor shows up for the face-to-face, be it an interview or an audition, he delivers his best version of what is expected to land the part. Recently, I had a conversation with Jonathan Goldsmith, the actor who plays the most interesting man in the world. What was really interesting is the information he shared about auditioning and actually getting cast. More about his story as we continue. How does this relate to you as a doctor, healthcare student, or other healing professional? The 3 lessons we're going to learn from the actor are, number 1, how to build flexibility into your professional presentation package so that you stand out as an applicant. Number 2, how to enlist the help of an advocate that will work like the actor's agent on your behalf. And number 3, how to present yourself congruently and authentically so that you're exactly the person for whom they have been waiting. For the sake of today's discussion, your presentation package consists of your headshot, your curriculum vitae, and your public profiles on the web. Let's begin with how you inform yourself of available opportunities. The largest roadblock to professionals finding their ideal workplace or position is, you guess. That's right. Take just a moment and give this one some thought. What makes finding anything in life hard? Did I hear you say not having enough time? No. What was that? Fear that if you pass up the opportunity in front of you, you won't have a better one? No. The largest obstacle that blocks a professional from finding their ideal workplace is that they don't know what they're looking for. If you don't take time to sit down and describe in detail what would be your ideal practice setting or educational setting, you will not see the opportunity, even if it shows up right in front of you. Now let's assume that you have taken that step, that you know what it is that makes it easy for you to be productive day after day. And what are the absolute deal breakers that you will not tolerate, no matter how sweet the deal sounds or how big the money pot is? Stop right now and see if you're prepared to go forward with the rest of this show. If you're stuck here, I know exactly how you feel. I remember how I felt finishing my fellowship. That was my fellowship in pediatric radiology. Do I go into private practice or academics? I'd experienced both environments. I'd done moonlighting as a resident and fellow, and I'd also been in academics. It was a time in medicine where there were lots of openings for pediatric radiologists. I was one of only 8 pediatric radiologists who completed my fellowship that year. Luckily, one of my mentors who had succeeded in academics and had successfully transitioned into private practice, Dr. Keith Hayden, taught me a surefire method of answering that question. I've formatted it into a decision tree to help you. If you need that tool to get you past this sticking point, go to www.thedoctorsmentor.com and join the community. Then look for the Career Path Decision Tree. I'll send you the tool and the supporting materials you need to decide on what you want quickly and with certainty. So what's the next step you take to find opportunities? Easy places to stay in the loop are by setting yourself up for alerts from the professional organizations in your specialty. For example, I get alerts for opportunities from the Radiological Society of North America, as well as the Society for Pediatric Radiology. Yet that may not be enough to find exactly what you desire long term. What you really need to do is connect with people who are already thriving in a work environment like the one you seek. Identify the ideal professionals with whom to partner, and also identify ideal practice settings. Then start leveraging the connections in between to get to know those folks. LinkedIn is a fantastic tool for doing your homework on professionals and workplaces. If you're in academics, ResearchGate is my go-to network for finding those scientists that would make great colleagues. Not on these networks yet? Here's where we need to step over to the actor again. Your public profiles may be the first introduction you have to the linchpin person who can serve as your advocate, and you may not even be aware that they're looking at your profile. Savvy actors know this and make sure they optimize every piece of information on their public profiles. The other document that serves the same function for the actor is the one sheet and the headshot. Search the internet for your favorite stage and screen star. Examine the headshot and make note of 4 characteristics. Number 1, attire. Number 2, hair. Number 3, complexion. And number 4, expression. The goal for the actor is to display a range of expressions and to give the director a good idea of the physical characteristics that will either support or detract if the actor plays the role. Now translate that into your headshot. You need to know what the successful doctors in the practice setting you desire expect to see in their colleagues. Go to the website for a practice or department that is desirable to you and study the pictures of the decision-making doctors there. Then muster your local resources to produce an excellent personal headshot or multiple shots if you're applying to a variety of practice settings in different regions. How do you find a great photographer in your area? Find locals in your town who have great headshots on their profiles and ask them who photographed them. And if you get uncomfortable in front of the camera, pick a photographer who can bring out your best. Most photographers are more than happy to be interviewed before you hire them. Spend the money to set up an appointment. These pictures are nearly as important as your wedding photos, so make an appointment to have yourself professionally prepared for the shoot. Take a variety of outfits in colors that complement your coloring and clothing styles that accentuate your most attractive features. Consider professional hairstyling and makeup that day. Guys, just a little powder, and you can even use cornstarch, will take the shine off your nose and forehead and save you retouching costs with the photographer. Most importantly, dress for the part you seek. If you want to be perceived as a doctor, then dress like the doctors dress in the practice setting you desire. If you aren't certain, do several shots, one looking more like a business professional, one more like a traditional white-coated doctor, one in business casual, and if appropriate, one that uniquely expresses something about you. For example, it's not unusual in Texas to see doctors in cowboy boots and hats. While actors will display a variety of expressions for their headshot in their portfolio, their profile pictures and main headshot almost always have a smile for the expression. Research continues to demonstrate that in live interactions and online, a smiling portrait creates more engagement than a serious portrait, and smiling where teeth show is better than a closed-lip smile. So how does that work? Well, smiling draws people to you, and it helps others relax. The most engaging type of smile, though, is the I know a secret look, or the knowing smile. You can see that smile on Jonathan Goldsmith's headshot online, and also in the portrait of the Mona Lisa. So just to recap, your presentation package consists of your headshot or shots, your searchable internet profiles, and your CV. And it begins wherever anyone in your sphere of influence conducts a search for you, and the search reveals personal or professional information. Powerful points of engagement are your public profiles on professional society sites and on social media sites. You build in flexibility by strategically creating a portrait of yourself with your headshot and with words that tells your unique story. One thing about this, you never know who is looking at you and when they observe you. The most successful professionals live a personal life that is congruent with their professional and public image. Jonathan Goldsmith told me about reading for one audition and noticing a silver-haired guy in the back of the theater who seemed to be doing something else. While he didn't land the part for which he auditioned, he soon got a call to show up in another studio. He thought he was going to audition, and he was surprised when the secretary told him he already had been cast for a part in a Western, a TV Western. When he was ushered in to see the director, it was the same silver-haired gentleman who had been at the back of the theater. So the take-home point is, be congruent inside and outside of your practice environment. So now let's move on to your story. The one sheet is a required form of communication in the world of public figures. The one sheet is a required form of communication in the world of public figures. At an audition, each actor or their agent presents the one sheet and a headshot to the representative who is seeking actors. For speakers, the one sheet and headshot steer the media and marketing pieces that appear prior to a speaking engagement. If you treat the first page of your curriculum vitae like the actor's one sheet, you'll convince the reader of your CV to turn the page to learn more about your story more often than not. If you've ever been asked for your CV and realized you haven't updated it in the past year, raise your hand. If you've ever been asked for your CV and you have trouble finding a working copy on your computer, nod your head up and down. If you've ever longed for an easier way to document your experience and accomplishments, say yes. If you've ever wondered, who reads these things anyway? Raise your hand. Now you're going to discover why most people's CVs are never reviewed more than a minute, and a foolproof method of getting yourself noticed immediately. Your curriculum vitae, or CV, is a comprehensive record of your professional legacy, or at least it is in Australia, Canada, and the United States. A resume is a similar document, except it is limited to job experience and skills relevant to the candidacy for which one has applied. The biography, or bio, is a one-page summary document employed in some industries that is a short sheet used to introduce the individual to those who are not familiar with his or her work. It's used by speakers and authors as well as in corporate documents for management and executives. It's also useful for media pitches. In the acclaimed halls of Western medicine, we still enjoy the formality of the curriculum vitae. And my gift to you today is a lesson on spicing up your CV so that it gets you the recognition you deserve. Somewhere on your digital storage, save a comprehensive document where you chronicle your professional legacy. Everything you create professionally, put in this document. Now, there's no one best way to format your CV, and there's no standardized approach to CVs across academia or private practice. So just set it up as a simple text file with minimal formatting in your favorite word processor. If you want a list of all the items worth chronicling and how they might serve you, you can find that at www.thedoctorsmentor.com. Let's just focus on page 1 for today. If you want the first page of your CV to pop and catch the attention of the reader so that they turn the page to learn more about you, then here are 2 recommendations inspired by the actor's one sheet. First, give them what they are expecting to see, and second, surprise and delight them. So how do you give them what they expect to see? Go to the site of an institution from whom you seek employment and look at an influencer's CV, or search to see if there's a standard way they format the CVs of the professionals who work there. For this application, format your CV the same way they like to see them. This is a great strategy for academics and corporations. For private practices, you may not find anything, so that brings me to strategy 2. How do you surprise and delight them? Have you published a children's book? Have you helped organize a massive cleanup of the coastline like my friend Dr. Suzanne Bennett? Include an item on your first page that creates curiosity. It might be an award you got that was quirky. It might be someone unique with whom you trained. It might be the fact that you did graduate first in your class from Harvard or West Point. You're looking for something in your accomplishments that forces the reader to ask questions, and the only way they can get those answers is by interviewing you or turning the page on your CV. Something that makes the reader stop and say, wow, if he did this when he was 21, what else has he done? To make this most effective, do your homework about them and include a fact about you that is relevant to them. Remember, there are only a few instances in your educational path where one version of your CV will be sent to multiple institutions. All the rest of your career, what you choose to include on the CV you submit is your choice. You may customize it to fit the situation. So if you're applying for a position in Hawaii and you know the dean is an avid surfer and you're an award-winning surfer, can you see where it might be helpful to include the surfing info on the first page of your Hawaii CV, but not so much if you're applying for a position in, say, North Dakota? As you customize the remainder of your CV to the situation, realize that if you apply to a high-volume private practice, proving somehow that you have experience with high volume may carry more weight with decision makers than the fact that you're on a phacomatoses research team funded by an NIH grant in graduate school. You'll get more traction from your CV if you provide links to examples of your work or interesting media pieces that demonstrate how your work changed outcomes. It's easy to create a website where you archive this material as well. What type of website and where it is housed depends upon what purpose serves you. Let's save that for another episode of our show. So far, we've explored ways to create a presentation package that highlights you as the gift. Actors are masters of this, and the trick is to humbly and compassionately be and promote yourself as the gift you were intended to be in the world without developing an ego that gets in the way of the service you provide. Next, actors always have a list of reliable advocates to whom they can turn when they need an external source to boost credibility. Most of the time, they pay an agent to do this. Most professional actors also have a black book or Rolodex list of people they know, either personally or professionally, who will vouch for them. How do you build a list of advocates? First, be of service. And secondly, remember people's accomplishments. One of the most important skills you can master as an adult is the ability to remember something special about each person you meet, so that when you introduce them to another person, they can easily converse. That is a gift. Also, when you do a favor for someone, make a note of how you helped and the outcome. Next, when you introduce people, mention an accomplishment as you give the introduction. It gives people something to talk about besides the weather. Practice this skill everywhere in every form. Now, whether you are paying for an advocate like an attorney, agent, or mentor, or just asking a favor from an associate, make sure you are clear in what assistance you need. For example, never ask, "Can you write me a letter of recommendation?" Instead, ask, "Would you feel enthusiastic about writing me a great letter of recommendation for Harvard? With your expertise in hematology, it would really mean the world to me." That's an example. If they give you a hesitant answer or a flat-out no, that's perfect. You want to know ahead of time if they can't write you a great letter. And it's also a great opportunity for you to get the feedback you need to improve your performance and relationship with them. So swallow hard and acknowledge to yourself that rejection hurts, and then say something like, "Wow, thank you so much for really being honest with me. It's really important to me to continually improve performance and relationships. What specific recommendations do you have so that I continue to improve?" The more you practice open, honest communication with yourself and with other people, the faster you will propel yourself toward the outcomes you desire. You want to cultivate a relationship with your advocates so that when your name is being bantered about for the next position you desire, that someone advocates for you just like Jonathan Goldsmith's agent did for him when he was on the 3rd round of auditions for the most interesting man in the world. The agent received a call, and the representative for the marketing campaign said, "You know, they really like Mr. Goldsmith, and they really would like to cast a younger person in the role." The agent quickly countered, "Who in the world would believe that the most interesting man in the world is a young man?" After that, Jonathan got the role, and the rest is history. The third lesson we'll consider today from actors is how do you present yourself congruently and authentically so that you are exactly the person for whom they've been waiting. Successful actors do their homework. They practice the skills that provide them with flexibility. They rehearse the piece that works to their advantage for this audition, and they use all their talents and skills in the moments that count. So what does that mean? Before they show up for an audition, they know their own strengths and weaknesses and practice any skills necessary for the role that they may not have yet mastered. Then they take the provided information from the casting call and they research the production, the director, the producers, and the role so they understand in depth how that character thinks, feels, and acts. Rehearsal is different from practice. Practice is the act of building new skills so that you go from feeling awkward at something to feeling super about doing something. So like when a golf pro goes and plays the course before the tournament. So how do you research for your next interview? The internet provides a wealth of information. Study successful members of the division, practice, or department that you seek to join. How do they think, feel, and act? Notice how they present themselves at national meetings or on video. How do their publications read? Next, take an honest assessment of your own thoughts, feelings, and actions, and see how well aligned yours will be with theirs. Next, use your imagination to walk through your interview day. What questions are likely to be asked? How might you respond? Really act this out in front of a mirror. Notice any skills you need to practice, like shaking hands or smiling or sitting in an open position rather than a closed position with your arms crossed and your legs crossed. Practice that. Then, in the moment, when you're in the interview, because you have done your homework and practiced little skills and rehearsed your performance, be flexible and infuse a little bit of humor and humanity into the process. You'll be amazed how your interview just gets better and better when you give yourself the gift of preparation. When Jonathan Goldsmith was ushered into the silver-haired director's office, he learned he'd been cast as a cowboy for a TV show. The interview went well, and as he was leaving, the director said, "Oh, by the way, you can ride, can't you?" Jonathan smoothly answered, "Like the wind." The truth was, he hadn't ridden a horse since the Shetland pony he'd ridden at a birthday party as a child, yet he felt confident he'd have time to train himself before the shooting began. Well, you know how that goes. Life got in the way, and the first day of the shoot, Jonathan showed up and read the script that his character was supposed to vault onto the horse and ride into the night. The horse, Jonathan, and the director were surprised when Jonathan got on the horse and couldn't stop him from running around in circles in the same direction. Jonathan said every time he passed the director, he'd say, "Like the wind, huh?" What's the moral? Don't overstate your abilities. Be honest and express a willingness to learn and a plan for gaining skills you lack before the time of your employment. Better to underpromise and overdeliver than vice versa. So now you know 3 techniques successful actors employ to get noticed that most doctors and other professionals don't. The question is, do you trust yourself enough to put them to use? If you do, you'll be amazed how much more you smile and laugh as you contemplate the next steps in your career.
Your next step.
Number 1, if you aren't sure what kind of a professional setting is the next right step for you, go to thedoctorsmentor.com and join the community and download the Career Path Decision Tree. Number 2, assess and update your CV, headshot, and any digital representations of you online. Number 3, build your list of advocates and practice your memory skills. Number 4, practice asking questions more specifically, especially regarding recommendations. Number 5, assess your personal and professional skills and practice what needs to be practiced. Number 6, use your imagination to rehearse your interviews in front of a mirror. Number 7, lighten up and have fun the day of the interview. A little humor and lightness goes a long way, especially in dark places.
There's more to explore at thedoctorsmentor.com.
Are you stopping at a hospital? Hello? Don't you know that hospitals are one of the sickest places on the planet? Don't touch anything in there and get out as fast as you can.